It's Friday, time for Dr. Robert Heineman to come to our microphones and explain everything. I mean everything. Stay tuned.
Next on News Talk, AM 1480 WLEA, The Newsmaker Show with Kevin Doran.
We on? Okay, he says we're on. Bob, how are you?
I like this. Boy, I'll tell you, you guys are at the top of the
Down
technology
home.
when it comes to media. Go ahead.
Down home folksy radio.
You got it.
All right.
Hang on there, folks, for another bumpy ride.
Okay, I've got a list of questions here for you.
Oh, good.
I just want your reaction.
Not a real answer, just a reaction.
No. I mean, I want an answer.
Oh, I see. Okay.
What is your view now on the war in Gaza?
Well, as we said several weeks ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, Netanyahu has, I think, the various other players pretty well lined up in the Middle East, and he's not going to stop. He's just going to keep coming till he wipes out the Hamas infrastructure. Now, I don't know if he'll get them all. Then what is he going to do? Well, I'll tell you what he's going to do then. They're going to have surrogates of one sort or another step in and either act as a sort of Hamas government, or they'll just simply have their own people move in there and...
Whose own people?
Well,
Israelis?
Israelis, yeah.
That won't work, will it?
It'll be Palestinians of some sort, I assume. But, the West Bank is not all that happy with Hamas either, and so I'm sure there are people from the West Bank they could move in there. But they're going to move somebody in there to shut this down. That's what they're going to do.
Shut what down?
The tunnels, the resistance movement, the Hamas period.
All right.
There won't be much Hamas left after they get done this.
Okay, let's move on to New York State politics.
Oh, yes.
Now, here's something that I got from the internet, Bob.
Oh.
Let's see who wrote this. Oh, can't tell.
There you
tell.
go.
Well,
The
now, wait a
old
minute.
internet.
I know where it came from, but I can't tell who wrote this particular line. There's an organization known as Scope. Are you familiar with
Yes.
it? Oh, well, tell me what it is. I don't know what it is.
It's a shooters organization.
No.
Yes, it is.
Well, it may be, but this is something else.
No, it's the pistol permit,
All right.
whatever. It's a kind of a, I don't think it's a subsidiary, but it's a arm of the National Rifle Association,
Okay.
state arm.
Well,
Yeah.
that's where this comes from. I
Right,
thought it was a
okay.
study of polls. All right?
No.
It's Scope. Okay, well, that
I don't know exactly what it does stand for. State Committee on Pistol? I'm not sure. But at any rate, it's gone.
Well, anyway, they're maintaining that the Marist poll, which shows Cuomo so far ahead, why even bother having an election?
Yes.
They're showing that 294, or 46% of the people they polled were Democrats. Only 26% were Republicans.
Right.
But 63% of those polled were New York City voters, and only 37% outside the city. The deck was stacked against the Republican candidate in this poll, and they're maintaining that Marist has a financial connection with
garbage.
Cuomo. I agree with that. All right. But there is an upstate poll by the Rochester Journal. Who's that? That produced results that were different.
Well, how much different?
I don't know. It doesn't say.
We're not getting anywhere with this, Kevin.
Well, they're saying that they polled people upstate more than the people in the city because more votes come from outside the city than in.
Well,
and the bottom line is that according to Scope, and I didn't know what it stood for. I thought it had something to do with polls.
No.
That Scope believes Astorino's running better than we think.
Well, I don't know what we think he's running, so how far down they have him?
Well,
35 points or something?
Ridiculous. 31 points was the last I saw.
Yeah. Well, he could be running better than that, but I'll bet he's not much, better than 25 right now. But all this activity with the federal attorney from New York City.
People don't care about that. Now,
I don't think that's true at all. I think the governor has gotten him in a situation that has boomeranged politically, and Senator Schumer who is apparently no friend of Governor Cuomo's, is going to encourage continued investigation of this situation. And I think it really is a embarrassment for the governor. Now, here's the point, Kevin. Not that the governor will lose, but the governor wants, first and foremost, to win by a huge, huge margin, to show that he's a very effective and popular Democratic governor in the country. He'd like to win by 30 or 35% of the vote, thereby showing his political skills.
Bona fides.
Yes, and making him then a possible candidate for the presidency or maybe vice presidency, I'm not sure.
God help us.
Yes, but the point is, with this sort of thing, that does begin to cut into his margin, I think, so that he may well go ahead and win, but he might win by only 8 or 10% or something like that. And he doesn't want to do that. And you'll note, well, he's playing it to the hilt, but it's amazing how these things backfire, and this has clearly backfired on him. I don't know what this woman, Fortas, is going to do with this. Is she making much political
Pardon my ignorance, but who is she?
She's running against him in the primary. She's a law professor from, I think, Fordham, who's running against him in the primary.
You don't really think she's going to make a difference?
Well, yes, I think she'll make a difference if she's on the ballot. I'm not saying she's going to win. I'm just saying your question was, will she make a difference? Yes, I think she'll make a difference.
Okay, let me tell you something Bill Nojay's been saying on his award-winning program here on
He's
WLA.
a fine man, Bill Nojay, yes.
He is. A good stand-up. Nojay points out that every study ever done on voters in New York show that they, A, expect corruption in Albany, and B, don't care.
Well, I think...
So, you know, if the governor is a crook, they say, well, so what? There are a lot of crooks up there, and they are. So what's the difference? They don't care about that. Nojay says they care about jobs, they care about security.
Yes.
And that's not a good picture in New York, but nobody knows that.
Well, I do think the Democrats, this is interesting because I think the Democratic organization has enough organizational muscle to be able to elect almost anybody.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's through the unions,
Yeah.
who are tremendously powerful. And you talk about security and jobs and such. That's what they're voting for.
All right, now, Campbell Brown, you know that name?
No, I do not.
She's a reporter for CNN. I think she was with NBC or CBS before. And she has filed a lawsuit with the state of New York to abolish tenure.
For what?
Teachers.
High school teachers?
Well, I don't know. Teachers in general, I suppose. Yeah.
Well.
Now, that won't go anywhere, but it's interesting that it happened.
Yes. Oh, I see. We're talking about the tax on union and union power and such.
Yeah, right.
Teachers union.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if it won't go anywhere if it's up to the legislature, but if the courts
there are some cases around the country. I believe. Boy, you caught me off balance.
Wisconsin.
No, California.
And Ohio, I think, too.
California, they just had a court decision that...
abolish tenure?
It went after it, yes. But you caught me a little off guard here,
okay.
Kevin. I'd have to go.
Well, what do you think about abolishing tenure?
For public school teachers?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense, yes.
You do?
Yeah.
I didn't say that, teachers.
I'm not... for college teachers, tenure has another role, really, and that is basically to allow people to speak freely and express opinions, because the whole idea is that colleges are supposed to bubble up with new ideas and such. And there's no question that they bubble up with new ideas. A lot of them,
all of them left.
Totally.
Left
totally wild. But nonetheless... that's a lot of the, I think, a reason for tenure at the college level. But interestingly enough, contrasted with the public schools at the secondary and elementary level, more and more schools are doing away with tenure at the college level. So that the number of tenured faculty on the college level is a much smaller percentage of what it would have been 10 or 15 years ago. And I know schools For example, Chatham College in Pittsburgh has done away with tenure altogether. You get a 5-year contract, and if your performance is satisfactory at the end of 5 years, they give you another 5-year contract.
Sounds to me like they'll have more left-wing profs.
But if you irritate the president down there, I don't.
Yeah, you'll have to have more left-wing profs then.
So it
guys like you will be a dinosaur.
Will be. I think we could use the present tense on that. Probably
okay.
We don't need the future. But the other side of it at the college level is that more and more schools are just going with adjuncts and fill-ins. So
save money.
Yeah, and they can cut them at any time, and so, yeah.
All right, now let's move along to a different issue. Our guest, Dr. Robert Heineman, our regular Friday guest here on the award-winning Newsmaker Show.
Oh, yes.
By the way, before I forget, next Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, we're going to run the 3 interviews I have done with Ed Klein.
Have you? These are reruns, some of them, right?
Well, they'll all be reruns, yeah. But, you know, you got to put the 3 of them together to get the whole picture of the book.
Right, the full impact. Huh?
Have you read that book yet?
No, but I'm recommending it here and there.
Well, why don't you read it?
Because my wife gave it to one of her friends. That's why.
Oh. And we know who wears the pants in that family then, huh?
Well, we know who
my wife doesn't give any of my books away, pal. All right. The Democrats
She didn't give it. She loaned it. And let's make that clear. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
All right. Democrats are making money saying the GOP is out to impeach Barack. They've raised millions on this.
Yeah.
Now, will that carry over to the November elections?
No, I don't think. No, they clearly are trying to get something to activate these guys to get out to vote.
Yeah.
And they're having a serious problem doing that, and there's good reason because folks just are shaking their heads wondering what's going on up there.
Oh, come on.
No.
Listen, if Obama ran again, they would vote for him.
Oh, I think a lot of them would. Yeah, most of them. But he's not running again, and so that's. So
you're saying that won't get them excited enough to go out and
vote
for a Democrat senator?
No, I think not. Well, I think the Republicans are wise to this. Boehner, for example, said, hold it, this is a whole charade.
Yeah, but who's listening to him? They're not listening to him.
Obviously. Well, he's sending signals to the rest of his members to shut up and get on to other issues. And hopefully they will. I note in either the New York Times or the Wall Street Journal this week, the pollsters now have 10 Senate seats up as for grabs. And the Republicans, I think, need 6 to take control of the Senate. So now what's happening is in some of these seats where the Democrat was in pretty good shape, the polls are tightening up. The Republicans are beginning to close in in terms of money raising. And I think what you're going to see here, you have all the potential for a huge landslide here for the Republicans.
What would Obama do if he has a Congress totally on the other side?
He'd play a little more golf.
Mm-hmm. How can he play more golf?
Well,
go out and raise more money.
Maybe do it under the lights. I don't know.
Yeah.
He'd just kind of float along there. That's what would happen. Yeah. And as you can tell, it's a very dangerous situation out there in the world today. But here and there, you do see some beams of light. So,
who's the beam of light in the Republican Party presidentially?
Well, I'm saying Jeb Bush is.
He won't even run.
Well,
why don't you listen to me?
Because often, Kevin, with all due respect, you're totally wrong.
Well, let me tell you something, pal. The T in often is silent.
Yeah, that could be. I don't
know.
It is. If you learn how to
Trust me.
You knew how to pronounce Washington. Why?
Washington?
Yeah.
With the R.
I would have a little more confidence.
One final thing. Your name again is Heineman, right? The final thing. I'm reading now from a Fox exclusive report.
Oh, boy.
Well, a game warden hit in the head with a rock while trying to seize a raft.
Oh, wow.
Police officers wounded in an hours-long standoff with gang members wanted for murder. Criminals spewing obscenities and death threats at local cops before asking and then receiving medical treatment. That happened last week in Texas. A weekly report distributed by Texas state agencies to senior law enforcement officials paints a grim picture of the Mexican border, with authorities regularly confronting illegal immigrant gang members and drawing automatic gunfire from across the Rio Grande. Now, Bob, this thing about kids coming across has been very, very distorted. First of all, most of those kids are teenagers. Many of them are gang members, and a lot of adults are coming across with the kids.
Yeah.
What if Obama says, it doesn't matter? I don't think he cares.
I think he is saying it doesn't matter.
Yeah, well, what if he really goes ahead and makes it official using executive? He's got a pen and a phone, you know. That man has a pen and a phone. He told us that. What if he does that?
Yeah.
What if he does that? What will happen? Anything?
Nothing.
All right, okay.
No, so they hit the guy in the head with a rock. I mean, what do you want me to do?
Well, how about shooting?
Listen, I've talked to some of my students who are down there, have been down there in Border Patrol, and it's not unusual to get shot at down there.
Yeah.
So
That's beautiful, isn't it?
Well, it's like anything else. The media is focusing on
What
a
it wants to.
Yes, and so every little detail that comes up, my goodness, people are shaking their head, tisk, tisk. No, not that that's not a problem down there. Don't get me wrong, but let's not get too carried away here.
Okay. Let's see. Do I have
I'm
a final
here to
question
keep
for
it
you?
under control. Yes.
Oh, for heaven's sake, Bob.
Listen,
that used to be the cause of wars, shooting across borders. That used to cause wars.
Yeah, but it was the Army on the other side was shooting at the Army on the other side. Mm-hmm. It's not a bunch of civilians or kids or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So
what do you think about these kids? What do you think about all these people who've come across? Should they be shipped back?
Well, I think yes, to the extent you can, yes. Mm-hmm. But again, I don't know the facts.
These are all going to be good Democrat voters now. They're not going to do that.
No, Kevin, come on. You think I can see it now? MS-13 is going to line them all up at the polls and say,
"Well,
you
listen,
guys
pal."
go in. But the point is, we have a secret ballot in this country.
Listen,
Kevin,
let me tell you something.
And those little teenagers might go in and vote Republican.
Yeah. You want to bet?
How are the gang members going to know?
Well, let me tell you something,
oh,
Bob.
brother.
If you can vote dead guys year in and year out several times in Illinois.
They haven't voted more than half a dozen or so dead people frequently.
Frequently?
Right.
All right. Do Republicans vote dead people, too?
No.
They used to.
No, they...
they're dumb, then they ought to.
No, Republicans try to play by the rules.
Well,
you know that.
That's
Kevin.
a loser.
Well, it's like Leo DeRocher said. You know where nice guys finish.
Louis the Lip.
Yeah, he didn't take the Cubs too far up the ladder.
All right, that's it. Are you a Cub fan? I thought you were a White
I
Sox
was
fan.
a Cub fan, but I've finally given up on them.
All right,
What a total waste.
Hey, I'm a Mets fan. It's not easy being a Mets fan.
Turning into a really discouraging conversation here, Kevin.
Well, it is, right.
Yes. Let's hope things are a lot better by next week when we meet.
They won't be. No.
Oh, well,
I guarantee you that.
They'll be certainly maintaining the consistency of the program.
All right. Now, stay tuned for news and information. See how much worser it's gotten in the last half hour.
All right, folks.